Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So my name is Amanda if you are new here, and I'm a 24-year-old cash budgeter from Texas. Today's video is going to be my budget with me for May week number 4, but we do have some money shuffling that we are going to be doing in this video as well. I didn't want to just do that off camera and then have to explain it later. I'd rather just do it in today's video. That way we all kind of just see it together, you know? So if you're new to my budget with me's, every week my husband and I set aside $150 to budget on Thursday. So this $150 goes into our weekly spending, actual sinking funds, annual expenses, and those kinds of things. I did rewrite my planner spread quite a bit now. I do have some business expenses over here on the front. The only thing that I will now write on the back page is going to be taxes. Either way, that is besides the point. So in addition to our $150, if I complete any savings challenges that get allocated to something we stuff only on Thursdays, then we will make sure to budget that money in today's video as well. I do want to quickly say a disclaimer, if my fingers are the slightest tint of blue, that is because I recently got these from TikTok Shop. It's a little bit green because I added my own Lucas in here. It says extreme sour, but it really was not even that sour. It also came with this large bag of just a blue raspberry mix. So if you guys are between these on TikTok and you actually want something sour, I wouldn't recommend these. I actually had some other brand. We ordered their sour, blue raspberry gushers. Now those things were sour. My face, those were sour. These, not so much. And I had been waiting on these since I had healed enough to eat them from my wisdom teeth, and they finally got here and I'm a little bit let down. So that's kind of sad. That's besides the point. I didn't really even pay for them, so I'm gonna eat them anyway because they're candy and I love candy. So yeah, it's fine. They're good enough to eat. But let's go ahead and start with our money shuffling because that is going to affect the numbers that we actually stuff out of the 150 and from this right here. So in Thursday's video, I did mention that I was contemplating pulling out half of my Disney Icons challenge early. Now let me explain why that's the case. We are over halfway through finishing my Disney Icons challenge. Honestly, I think we're in the last 1/4 stretch of it. Half of this challenge is supposed to be allocated to my travel or Disney fund, whichever was a higher priority at the time of unstuffing this challenge. So recently I've been on a gripe about depositing cash more often and holding less of it physically here. 1, for safety reasons. 2, because we are trying to prep ourselves to buy a house. I know that it's a little bit weird to be having money in large increments to be deposited. That's besides the point. We don't need to get too much into that. I've already made my mind up on how I want to do that. But regardless, Disney Icons is literally the only fund that I let sit over $300. And with that being said, I did decide we are going to prematurely pull out half of this. We are going to fully fund our travel sinking fund. Where is that? Right here. Okay, we're going to fully fund travel, which for us, with the flights that we've been planning to buy for our Disney trip, fully funded for Jordan and I will be $800. We are just over $600, so this is kind of how we're going to fully fund that. Now, I'm going to take $220 out of this. We don't need the full $200 to fully fund travel, which means there is going to be some remaining money that is going to continue to be shuffled around. Hopefully that makes sense. Just hang on and we will get into it together. Okay, so although we are moving money from Disney Icons to travel, I originally wanted to put placeholders in here so that when we're counting it at the very end, we still know that we had saved that $220. But instead of doing that, we are just going to grab this fully funded placeholder and we're going to put this in travel. So yeah, because after we do Thursday stuffing, the money that we're moving over now is likely going to get deposited, whatever, this, that, the other. Okay, so Disney Icons. Disney Icons saves you a total of $439 total. Now, if you divide that by 2, it's $219.50. So what we are going to be doing is just taking out $220, which means the $219 that we should end this envelope with will go wherever I decide to allocate it at that point. So I don't have a pre-allocation for it. I just knew that I wanted half of it for my Disney trip. So with that being said, we're going to grab $220. I think that's how we're going to grab it. That should honestly be fine. I don't think it's going to matter that much. So the rest of this we are going to put back, and it's 100, 10, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. So we have $139 left in here, which means we still just need $80 till this challenge is fully completed. Now, could I have waited to do that? Yes, but the reason I'm not waiting to do that is because May is a magic month for Jordan and I, since we do stuff our bills every Thursday. So because of that, there is a 5th extra week of bill money that we don't actually need to move over because I divide my bills in increments of 4, not 5. So the week that we are currently budgeting for is the week that we plan to skip our bills and take kind of like that break and pocket the money that we would have been transferring over. And in order for all of this to clearly make sense in our head without feeling like we're taking money from ourselves in terms of places that really need it, we wanted to move that over now so we can 100% clearly see what it is that we have to work with, if that makes sense. So we are going to hop over to travel. So I was considering adding this as additional money to stuff on Thursday and like putting this at $220. But it would just work easiest if I do it now, which is why I wanted to do it on camera. That way it wasn't like, hey, what the heck happened there? Travel is, again, going to be considered fully funded at $800 for Jordan and I. So although we do have a space that we need to fulfill on this scratch off challenge, we are still going to continue doing that like normal to kind of build a buffer, I guess, for like Uber or anything of that nature. We're going to add this here and count out 800 with the placeholders. Anything that is over 800 right now at this moment, I'm going to pull back out of the envelope. That should be like whatever we're over in terms of the money we brought from Disney Icons. So we have $500, $600, $700, and $800. So we have $10, $20, $30, $35, $36, $37, $38, and $39 that I get to reshuffle. So I'm going to leave that there. I feel like this sounds so complicated and perhaps I should have just done it on my own, but I know that a lot of you are probably going to appreciate me sharing this. So let's see, $5, $6, $7, and $800. So instead of taking this to the bank, what I'm going to do for now is just leave it like this. I don't know, do you think I should take it to the bank right now? Maybe I should, right? Okay, do I have an $800 placeholder though? Okay, I don't have an $800 placeholder or a $300 one currently printed, so this is what's going to happen. We are going to do $500, $700, and $800, which is fully funded. I'm going to keep the placeholders in there since I don't want to write on this beautiful, it is laminated, but I don't want to write on it and get it all messy. So this way we know that the prop bills are what is fully funded for travel, if that makes sense. I don't know if that does make sense. It makes sense to me. So hopefully it does to you, but I'm going to put this in here. So travel now has $800. These $200 that we are adding will be deposited after this video. So now that travel is completely taken care of, again, we can kind of slow down on this scratch off, but anything here will now just be buffer money for this category. We do plan to fly, so this could be like our Uber fee from the airport to the resort, or if we want to take Mears Connect, this can pay for that ticket. Before we come back to fulfill any spaces on this tracker, we are going to move around the money that we had left over from what we took from Disney Icons. So with this money, we are going to roll it into our entertainment sinking fund, and that is because we are taking this money to our horror convention trip, which is going to be this weekend. We are going to Dallas for Frightmare. So to give us some spending money in here, we are going to add whatever we, again, had left over into this fund. But with that being said, we did also have a completed savings challenge going to that sinking fund. So now we can kind of phase these into what we're doing right now. So this one right here was from a box challenge by Life With Me Eileen. This is $9 specifically allocated to entertainment. So we are going to add this money into here, and then we will count it up to see exactly what we are adding into entertainment. So whatever we have here, I'm going to write in our entertainment line because I don't need to raise this amount. Like I said, since we are going to take a break on our bills the current week that we are in, the money that would have gone into bills, we are dividing in half. Half of that money will go to pay part of our Disney resort. The other half we are also taking for this trip. That way we're still within budget for everything, and we can see exactly what we have, and we know that our flights are now taken care of. So what we are now adding into entertainment will be 10, 20, 30, 35, 40, 41, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So $48 will go into entertainment. This has nothing to do with our $150. So I'm going to just set that in the cash tray. Now the other thing that we have to do is this completed challenge that totaled $35, and this was allocated towards my teal binder. So it doesn't have a specific sinking fund. It can go wherever I want inside of this binder. So let me just verify that I have the $35 here. 10, 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and just shuffle this in here. So I'm going to put $35 on the calculator because I don't know if I'm going to put 100% of that into a single fund or if I want to kind of divide it up. So right here, these are all the categories that can be found inside of this binder. So it's not very many. So the $35 should honestly be pretty nice. I think what we will do is actually fulfill one of these spaces using the $35. Or should we do both? Just because we already scratched both. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do just the $12 space out of the $35. And I think whatever is left over, I'm going to put into car maintenance. So since we're going to fully do this $12 space, I'm going to write that here and scratch the rest off. I'm going to leave the 15 partially scratched so that I know we have not stuffed that money yet. All right, so out of the 35, we are going to be using $12, which means we should have 23 left. So we're going to put this back here. If I decide later that I want to do the $15 space, we can just wipe that out and add it. So the 23 that we have, we're going to add the majority of it into car maintenance. So let's see if we can round it off to something. So we have 20, 40, 50, and 51. So 23, if we add 51, what does that make it? 74. Okay, so I'm going to take $1 from our 150 budget to make this 75. So instead of adding just 23, we're actually going to add 24. And that was it for our completed savings challenges. So I can write 150 here. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then again, we took $1 out of this to make this 24 versus 23. So we're at $149 for our budget. Oh my gosh, okay, I'm so excited. This is actually all working out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I really thought it was going to be a big mess. Sorry if I over-explained all of that money shuffling. That tends to be a problem that I have, but either way, again, I just wanted you guys to know exactly what it was that I was doing. So I'm going to pack this binder away. I don't think we need it just yet. And let's quickly jump to my wallet. So I did get paid $420 in taxes. $420 from Etsy, so we were stuffing $126 into our taxes envelope. Yeah, so now that my business expenses are here in the front, I don't know if any money we put here will come out of the 150 or if it's going to be on top of. Since usually the budget that Jordan and I do weekly is only my Etsy and his full-time income, we try to leave Ko-fi and YouTube out of it as buffer money. So whenever I say that money comes out on top of this fund, it usually just comes from that buffer money. So again, backtracking, we're going to go ahead and do our wallet. So gas is going to get $15. Now, I am still left with half a tank after doing our road trip on Sunday. So 15 is not going to fill me up, but I do have a gas buffer envelope, which we're also probably going to have to stuff right now. Food, I'm not going to give anything. Fun money, we will give $10 in case we go to the movies. And then coffee and snacks will get skipped, and Jordan usually gets 20. I'm considering cutting it this week to something lower, but I suppose we should just still give him the full the full $20. So let's just do that. And then that's going to leave us at $104. So I think I did just decide that anything that goes into these envelopes will just be on top of the 150 out of that buffer. Because HP Instant Ink, I did just pay it for the month. So now what I'm going to be doing in here is saving the actual monthly bill. Same thing with my memberships, and then P.O. Box we actually really do need to focus on. So I'm going to skip giveaways and Happy Mail. Those don't really need anything right now. We're at 104. So my HP Instant Ink is currently $63, but I do plan to switch plans to a different option that they have that actually comes with a brand new printer. That one is supposed to be cheaper than my current plan with the printer that I have. But in case we don't sign up on time, I'm just going to budget with the 64 so it divides evenly. The $64 payment that I would have currently been making. So we're going to divide that by 4, which means we have to stuff 16 into HP Instant Ink. Memberships, let me see what I have. I think they total $25. These are the Ko-fi shops that I am a member of. So I am subscribed to Shades Budgets, What's Poppin', Sunshine, Bookish Mama Budgets, and Alexa's over at Dying Outlaw. And that does total $25. But I'm gonna budget like if it was $30, which actually I don't know if the $30 will divide any better. Does 28 divide by 4? Okay, yeah, we'll do that. So we're going to do $7 into memberships. Again, we are at 104 out of our normal 150 budget, but this will be on top of this. And the ATM that I get this money from only pulls out in increments of 20. So let's see, 16 plus 7, and we're going to subtract that from 40, which means we're just going to put $17 into P.O. Box. I don't know what P.O. Box has, but just so I can pull out a full increment of 40 and not have too much of a headache trying to take only a certain amount from here and moving this out there and doing all that stuff. So we're back at our $104. Now we can go into my savings and high priority challenges. So usually we just rock and roll with Baby Binder because I would have already had the challenge scratched off, but I forgot to do that on Thursday. So today we're going to scratch it right now together and find out exactly how much we're going to be stuffing. So this is for Mischief Managed Budgets. It is a save $50. And I'm kind of nervous to see how much is going to be under this circle. Now, it saves 50, so if you subtracted all these numbers, you would more or less be able to guess what is under these, but I don't feel like doing all that. Oh, it's just $2. No, we're going to have to do both circles. We're literally going to have to do both circles. Okay, I'm going to clean this really quickly, and we're definitely just going to be finishing off this challenge, which is pretty sad because had I scratched it on Thursday, everyone would have been on the same boat that we are going to be finishing this one. So we're at $2 and this is a 6, so we're just going to be adding $8 into Baby Binder this week. So on our sticky note, we are going to write $8 here, and we're going to subtract that out of the 104, which puts us at 96. But that is it for this challenge. Oh my goodness, I wasn't ready for that because I literally was not expecting that right now. Let's go ahead and pick out a new one though already. That way I'm not just putting this back all plain and then it'll be ready to go for Thursday. Otherwise I'll forget and we'll both just be sitting here wondering where the challenge is. Okay, so we are going to revisit Jenna Budgets US. It's actually been a little while since we've had one of her challenges. I think that one is the one that we had right before this otter challenge. I have a whole collection of otter specific challenges that we are using for my Baby Binder. So this one will save us $90 and the increments are from 7 through 13, which is honestly perfect because I have 12 envelopes in here. So the $13 will ensure that every time we get a 13, everything should get $1 at least. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. I don't even know how to talk right now. I was honestly napping. Like, I don't know if you can see the marks on my arm from my charm bracelet. They're kind of going away now, but you know, that's how you know it was a good nap. I have the imprint of like my bed sheets. So now that we have Baby Binder figured out, we can go ahead and do Disney icons. Okay, we're at $96, so I'm getting a little bit worried. But honestly, we've done a good amount of stuff over here. So let's see what Disney icons is at left. Oh, we're starting a new card. I forgot about that. Okay, so this is our Tiana challenge. It'll save us $50. Geez, what do I want to do in this? I should just do 10, right? And then I can do 20 and 20. Let's go ahead and do that. We're just going to do $10 because I feel like that will be safest, yet not the easiest way that we could have gone. So we're at $86 left, and let's go to our monthly challenge. Oh, I forgot. This one has $22 left, and then it'll be completed. Part of me wanted to divide this between this week and next and do 11 now and 11 next week, but I don't know if I actually want to do that just because that's going to be $11 next week that could have gone to something else. So we're just going to commit and we're going to do the full $22. So we're now at 64, but that means this one will be completely done and my month ahead should be funded for the month. So next we have debt. Now I'm not going to stuff it this week or at all for the rest of the month because we did actually finish our spring challenge. That is actually, if you saw Mini Monday, that is where the $69 payment came from. That was in addition to whatever we've collected for our city card. I was wondering where that $69 was from. It was from the spring card that we had just finished. So I'm going to put 0 here on debt, but we are going to set up this one for the month of June and the rest of the summer. So last month I was using a D6 and I think we might still do that, but I feel like I didn't get as high of numbers as I would have wanted. So I lied. We're actually going to do a D8, which is going to make the stakes a little bit higher. And maybe I'll regret that. But I did a D6 and literally was not getting anything high. So hopefully that changes right now. So I'm going to use this kind of teal color. I think that'll be cute. Okay, wow. Already we got a 7. So I'm going to put that there. This is a challenge available on my Etsy shop. It does come with 4 different trackers, one for each season, and that is why it is called Save with the Seasons. So if you didn't roll any dice to fill in the boxes, It'll save you at least $184. So we got another 5 here, and we have, what, 5 more boxes to go? Okay, we're actually getting kind of safe numbers, like things we would have gotten on a D6 anyway, so I guess that's nice. We got another 7, and let's see what else we're doing. Oh wow, another 7. Imagine that's also a 7. That would really be crazy. And we got a 4. Okay, so that is going to be our numbers filled in for the summer card. I'm actually really excited about this. They look a little bit scary, but it should be pretty attainable. So again, this grab and go challenge is available on my Etsy shop if that is something you are interested in purchasing. So we are going to be skipping budget roundup, so I'm going to put a 0 there as well. And lastly, on this little card, we do have my long-term savings challenge, which is a digital download of 16 different ones from Savvy Budget Babe. So this is the card that we are currently on. It is number 6 of 16. And here I will roll a die to tell us how many spaces we are doing. And then we will count up what that equals in dollar amount. So I think for this, we will risk it with a D8 since we are at $64. I think that should be pretty okay. Hopefully this doesn't bite us in the butt. Let's see. Oh, 1. Okay, so that is going to be $3 so far. I'm going to roll a D6 to get more spaces, but that way we don't go over 8, since that would have been my max on a D8. And we got a 5, so that's going to be a total of 6 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll just make it 7 and stop here. So let me go ahead and count what this is. We're at $63. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 3s, which is 12, and then 1, 2, 3 4s, which is also 12. So that should be a total of $24. Let me double check by adding everything individually. Yeah, so we have $24. So we were sitting at 64. We're taking 24, which leaves us at 40. $24 into our long-term challenge. So honestly, we can see now that we're not gonna have to stuff monthly the last week of the month, if we can go ahead and just knock out both of these last rows and finish this challenge with the month of May. Okay, so I'm gonna move this sticky note over because we have now done everything that is on here, at least with what we are going to actually be stuffing. So we don't need her anymore, and we have $40 left for the rest of my spread. But let me grab out my Christmas challenge before I put my dice tower all the way back. So for Christmas, we are using this little savings challenge that has a bunch of weenie dogs from Lily Budgets. I am using it as a roll and save, so you guys can see that there are numbers on top of the little paw prints, but you could allocate an amount for each dog themselves. So I have been rolling a D6, which we are just going to stick with. Let me just grab a Sharpie. Okay, and we're going to be doing $2 for the next dog, which will be over here. So these amounts have been fairly low, but like I said last time, and like I say all the time, I do not have a savings challenge binder that is specifically for like Christmas and holiday savings. So even though this is kind of slow, we still have other ways to also add money into this category. I'm also not too worried because I feel like I don't really have too many people to buy for this year. So any amount that we save, we can definitely make that work. So we are sitting at $38. Let me see. So Father's Day is coming up, so that's pretty important. I need to do Wanda's preventions because I've been slacking on that, and I need to buy her monthly one next week. But then I also need to stuff Beauty. Okay, so we're going to go to spending. This is random. We're going to go to spending. I'm going to unstuff this $10 before I forget. We're not, oh, there's 11 in here. I'm just going to take 10. We're not adding this into the budget that we're doing. I just need to make sure to take this out. This was my nail booking fee for the appointment, so I'm going to go ahead and set this aside so I know that it's been used. So the rest of the money for my nails is going to come from Beauty. Let me make sure that that is fully funded before we do anything else, honestly, because that appointment is going to be on Tuesday. Okay, I think we were at 38. Hopefully we were at 38. I did something and I don't remember. So my nails are $45. The $10 booking fee goes towards that cost. But I usually don't pay attention to that because I tip her anyway. So we are going to see what we have in Beauty at the moment and then see how much we're going to add. So I have $10, $20, and $21. So if we ignored the booking fee, it's 45 minus 21. So I need to add $24. Oh goodness, okay, because we only have 38, which wow, because again, I still need to do Wanda's preventative. But honestly, she has $20 in her sinking plan that has been there for a very long time. So I'll probably just use that towards the monthly one as well. So I'm going to go to beauty and we're going to be putting $24 in here because I'd rather take out that much than not. And then I'm dipping into the buffer when I really had the money. I just didn't want to restrict myself here. So we are left with 14. I'm going to put 4 of those dollars into preventions. So there is that. And then the last $10 I'm going to put into Disney trip because we have not really been focusing on that. So I'm going to put that here. So, but that being said, that should be all of the $150. I know I mentioned I needed to stuff gas buffer. Since we are doing the whole like skipping over the bills, using that money for the convention, our gas should really be covered because I still have $50 in the envelope. So even though yes, we're gonna need it, I'm not too worried about that because we're gonna have the money between that envelope and whatever we have in our checking accounts. So that should be it for this. Now what I'm gonna do is count up everything but taxes because that is just separate. These are also separate, so I'm not gonna add these in, but I'm gonna double check my math to make sure that we are sitting at 150. If we are, we're good to go. If we're not, then we have to revisit it and figure out where we messed up. Okay, so we were able to get that on the first try. We stopped with $150, which is exactly what we should have. But full transparency for what we are going to be stuffing on Thursday, it is the $150 plus the $126 in taxes. Yes, and then we are also going to be adding the 16, 7, and 17 from our business envelopes plus whatever this is, which is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 65, 70, 71, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80, 1, 2, and 3. So that should be a total of $399 being stuffed on Thursday. That's really annoying. Should I add $1 and make it an even 400? I don't think I'm gonna just leave it. So $399 will be stuffed on Thursday. So with that being said, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Why did that lay like perfectly right there? Anyway, if you enjoyed, make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe and comment down below if you guys have not already. And I will see you tomorrow for a Hollow Wednesday, which is my spooky binder stuffing. Yeah, have a great rest of your day and I'll see you later. Bye.